What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for January 2nd, 2025. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Thursday edition of the podcast, a back-to-work Thursday for many of us. And as someone who works in education, this was always the second worst day of the year. The first was always first day of school, getting adjusted after being on your summer hours. But this was, man, especially on a Thursday, this is going to be a tough one. However, hang in there. It's a short sprint toward the weekend. And this weekend, if you were hoping to see Saquon Barkley break the rushing record, it will not happen. Nick Sirianni announced yesterday that most of the players will rest, most of the starters. And that is the right call and the right decision. The more I thought about this, as great as that would be for Saquon to get the record, I know he wanted it. I know a lot of the players wanted it. I just feel if the record was not in play, we would not even be having this discussion. If the record was not in play, the starters would have rested no matter what. And I think coupling with the fact that you got some guys that are banged up, the fact that the bye week was in week 5, I think it's the right decision because whoever you play, whether it's Washington or Green Bay, at least for a half this weekend, both of those teams likely will be trying to play hard. So no matter who we play, they'll be coming off a somewhat tougher game than what they're used to. So I really do. As much as it would have been cool to see Saquon break the rushing record, I just really, this is the right decision. Jalen's still not even out of concussion protocol yet. So why risk anything? Looks like it's probably going to be the Tanner McKee show, which is fine. But right call by Nick Sirianni, right call by the Philadelphia Eagles on resting everybody as we gear up. Because there's bigger pictures in the bigger picture is in play, and that's a Super Bowl. The fact that, I mean, the goalpost moved. This was probably not necessarily a Super Bowl or bust season when the season kicked off, but obviously a lot has changed, and I think this puts them in the best position. I know there's going to be people on the other side that says, oh, you got to do it. It's a once in a lifetime, this, that, and the other. However, the fact of the matter is it's not like our trophy case is overflowing with Super Bowl trophies. So anything that's going to put us in a better position to win the Super Bowl, I'm all for. So there you go. Some good news, though. Dallas Goedert's practice window did open. Looks like he should be trending at least toward playing in the playoff game, which will be huge. Open up some more things for the offense. But I think the biggest concerning thing is the fact that Jalen is still in concussion protocol. Should be fine, but with concussions, you just never know. And that's the story that we're going to be monitoring. All right, some housekeeping notes. Be sure to follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mont on Twitter and TikTok. On Instagram, @PhillyJimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont. Continue to spread the word. Got big aspirations for 2025, so every little bit will help as we try to grow this thing. Now, for New Year's, all through the month of January, we're not going to be doing resolutions. We're going to be forgiving people, trying to change the karma, trying to bring some of that good juju in for our Philly sports teams for this year. And the team that needs the biggest shot of good karma right now is your Philadelphia Eagles. So today, we're going to forgive Nick Sirianni. And I guess the easy thing to do is forgive him for not allowing Saquon to go for the record. But again, I'm okay with that. But the whole thing with Sirianni goes back to his first press conference. Everybody compared it to Charlie Manuel. Just seemed like he was overwhelmed, over his head. And then during that first season, he gave the flower pot speech about growing the roots, and everybody laughed at him. But I have to say, look at where this team is now. And as silly as the flower pot speech was and growing the roots and all of that, he's got some pretty good roots here. He's 47-20. The players love to play for him. And I mean, I've said this 1,000 times already, but his record speaks for itself. The guy wins, and maybe we're too hard on him at times because of the way he conducts himself sometimes. But I think for us, we need to forgive him for yelling at fans, for some of the goofy decisions he makes. And I think you got to look at the whole picture here. And the fact of the matter is, all he does is win. And 47-20 in just under 4 years as head coach has taken us to playoffs all 4 years, taken us to a Super Bowl. This is another Super Bowl or bust team, and the job he's done this year has been phenomenal. So Nick Sirianni, I forgive you. I'm sorry. We need as much of this good karma as possible with him, but I think Nick Sirianni deserves our forgiveness. And like I said, take that burden off of our shoulders and let's get the good karma rolling here in 2025. All right. So the Sixers, another team that could use some good mojo right now, lost out in Sacramento last night, 113-107. No Joe, no Kelly Oubre. I fully imagine Joe will play tonight. It's a nationally televised game. I can't see why he wouldn't. They claimed it was for the knee and the foot. However, the fact that they were playing back-to-back, I think it was just load management, as they like to say. But Paul George had 30 last night. Tyrese Maxey had 27. The issue I have with this game last night is 100% did not stay up to watch it. But in watching the replays, they had a 9-point lead in the fourth quarter. And they seem to do this a lot without Joe, where they can't hang on to the lead. And I think what's concerning about that is Paul George was supposed to be the guy that was the closer. And that's one of the reasons they brought him in. He struggled down the stretch last night. So Sixers lose to the Kings, 113-107. They're back at it tonight against the Warriors. Nationally televised game. Fully expect to see Joe play in this one. Flyers then are in action out in Vegas tonight. Tough matchup for them. Hopefully they can get back on the right side of things and get some momentum rolling here in 2025. Be sure to check out my boys over at the Clashing Conferences podcast. Lots of great things going on with their Sports Fan Network. That's available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. And then go to Philly Goat. It's a new year, new you. Get some new shoes. Those bird wings, amazing. I've showed them. Go back and look at some of our previous episodes from last week. These things are incredible. Order them now. Hopefully you can get them in time for the playoff run. But they're phenomenal. Just like the canvas loafers, they're super comfortable. Lots of ankle support. And more importantly, they look amazing. So go to phillygoat.com. Use that promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. That's phillygoat.com. Promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. Today, we're going to stick with the Flyers and go back to 2012. And on this day in 2012, the Winter Classic took place at Citizens Bank Park. The Rangers came back to beat the Flyers 3-2. Braden Shen and Claude Giroux both scored. If you remember, this was the big deal because Eric Lindros came back to play in the alumni game, played alongside Bobby Clarke. Seemingly, they buried the hatchet there. But this Winter Classic was originally scheduled to be played at the Link. Unfortunately, the Eagles had a game the day before, and the NHL needs about a week to get the stadium set up, so it was moved over to Citizens Bank Park. But it wasn't without its drama. The game was delayed 2 hours due to the high temperatures for a January day and the sun glare coming off of the ice. Flyers, though, came out on the losing end 3-2 to the Rangers in the 2012 Winter Classic. And they haven't had much success in these outdoor games. They've played 6 times, going 1-4-1, including this past February where they got drubbed by the Devils out in MetLife Stadium. The Nets, jeez. They haven't played in Jersey for a while. But on this day in 2012, Flyers lose to the Rangers 3-2 at the Winter Classic in Citizens Bank Park. But outdoor games have just not been good for the Flyers. But I guess the big story out of this was the fact that seemingly Eric Lindros and Bobby Clarke kissed and made up, and all is good in Flyers land. All right. We'll be back to a somewhat normal schedule and episodes and everything next week. Still sort of on a modified holiday schedule, hence why the podcasts over the past week or so have been shorter. Should be more on a consistent time frame, all of that as we get into 2025. Eagles playoff push, really start to focus on the Sixers and Flyers. And don't look now, but spring training is not that far away. We actually just bought some tickets. We're going to fly down in March to see a game. Got our tickets. Just need to get a flight. So if anybody out there is good with finding flights, hit me up offline. Would love to sort of pick your brain on that. But on this day in 2012, Flyers lost to the Rangers 3-2 in the Winter Classic. Nick Sirianni said Saquon Barkley and a lot of the starters will not play in this week's game against the Giants. It is the correct move, but let me know your thoughts. That's today's question of the day. Did Nick Sirianni make the right decision by not playing the starters and letting Saquon go for the record? 267-495-8531. That'll get you in. Get that. Anything else Philly sports related off your chest? Think we're crazy for forgiving Nick Sirianni? If you want, anybody you want to forgive, just get it off. Get that weight off your shoulders. Let's let the good karma roll and have some success here with our Philly sports teams in 2025. I have a good feeling about 2025 for our Philly sports teams if the Sixers can ever hold a lead in the fourth quarter without Joel Embiid. But let's not get greedy here. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for January 2nd, 2025. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Thursday. Drink extra coffee today. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.